What's up? This is Brandon London, and you're listening to the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast. You hear that? The Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast. Let's go, Giants.
I have no idea what's gone on there, but there we go.
What's happened there, chaps?
So,
we are live.
This isn't what episode 146. This is episode 147. Is that right, producer Craig? Welcome back, Giants fans, to the latest edition of the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast. As always, in association with Andy's Man Club, lads, it's okay to talk. Producer Craig's had a nightmare already. He's holding his head in shame, and slap him on the wrist. Bad Craig, bad producer Craig, bad producer Craig. Too much playing around, but I'm going to miss that. Anyway, Shane's busy working, so we are 67% British, 33% Irish, but as always, absolutely 100% Giants. It's Dan, Kev, and producer Craig here to take a look at the key players showing off their skills in this weekend. In this weekend's Senior Bowl, not Super Bowl. We'll come on to that as well. And talking of bowl games, Super Bowl 58 is now less than 2 weeks away. So following this past weekend's conference championship games, we're going to sort of touch on on this episode this evening. Plus, we've got a little bit about Barkley, the whole contract situation going on, and people running their mouths maybe. But yeah, so lots to come this evening. Looking forward to it. Sorry about the start. That's how we did.
Yeah, good. I mean, that's what happens when you go live on YouTube now. There's no more restarts like the old days in the podcast when it was just on the old podcast and stuff. Yeah. Remember at the beginning we started, there was multiple times when we started a few times over, but yeah, here we go, and ready to talk about some Senior Bowl stuff. All kicked off in Vienna yesterday, some back again today. The game's on Saturday evening, 6 p.m. our time, on the NFL Network. So if you can tune in, please do. And I'm looking forward to sort of see what players might tickle the Giants' fancy.
I'm very surprised you didn't open the podcast with 67% British, 33% Irish, and Craig's 100% an idiot. Because as Steve rightly says,
you said it.
Kieran's it's how you finish that counts. Do you know what? We're going to touch on this a little bit at the end, but we've been working on so many things recently to try and improve the look and feel of the podcast, and that clearly was just not on my mind in the slightest. So I've just looked at that and gone, yeah, that's fine. That's the intro. Beautiful.
Who cares about the here and now? Let's think about the future, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll let you off. You haven't made too many mistakes in the last sort of year and a half or so. So we'll kind of let you off that. We'll let you off that one boo. Episode 147. We're here to talk about Senior Bowl. So sorry, viewers, for those that saw the episode 146 card at the beginning of the podcast there. It's finally reached payday week, and don't forget you can treat yourself to some discounted Giants merch by checking out usasports.co.uk and use the code BIGBLUE to get yourselves 10% off your entire order. Also, you can show some love and rep your favourite British and Irish Giants podcast, the only British and Irish Giants podcast, by checking out our Etsy store, etsy.com/BigBlueUKIRL. Get yourself some podcast merch, because why not? We are going to kick this week off with any Giants business. Producer Craig, what do we know about assistant GM Brandon Brown?
Well, it looks like our assistant general manager will remain with the Giants for the 2024 season, despite having 2 interviews with the LA Chargers and Panthers. Both franchises decided to pass on the talented Brown. The Chargers announced their intention to sign the Ravens Director of Player Personnel, Joe Hortz, on Monday, whereas the Panthers announced that they had gone with Dan Morgan last week, who was previously with the Buffalo Bills. And just as a caveat on top of that, Mike Kafka, who we haven't really known what's been going on with, well, that ended this evening as the Seahawks announced they were signing Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald to be their new head coach. Cathcart will likely now remain with the Giants, as Daboll and Schoen are likely to block any lateral moves because that is pretty much over now. He didn't interview for the commander's job. The commander's job seems to be the only one that is still kind of open. I think Mike Vrabel might be the favourite for that one. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Kev, any update on the defensive coordinator bit?
Yeah, quite a bit. We'll start with the earliest news, which came on Saturday, as the Giants interviewed the Chiefs linebackers coach, Brandon Daly, who worked with Daboll in New England, and he worked with Mike Kafka in Kansas. And then on Sunday, it was announced that the Giants will have a second interview with Ravens defensive backs coach, Denard Wilson, who has definitely become one of the fans' favorites and preferred choices. Although it will be interesting to see if he now gets the vacant Ravens DC job taken up by Ravens DC, who went to Seattle. But but it hasn't. Herrero, is that how you pronounce it? I'm not too sure. Him as well. Joe Sheehan has said that he wants to have someone in by the end of this week. So watch this space, because it could be dropping breaking news anytime soon, even tonight while we're on. So if we're looking at our phones, you'll know why.
Yeah, it seems to be a kind of a look down moment. It also looks like we're having some horrific technical difficulties this evening as well. I think Dan's had a few issues. Kev, I know you dropped in a little bit for me there as well. So hopefully that's not too bad. We're going to round things off with ex-Giants in the Super Bowl. After a long old season, it was finally confirmed on Sunday who we will see in the Super Bowl. Championship Sunday began with the Chiefs dealing with MVP in waiting, Lamar Jackson, on their way to a 17-10 win before the 49ers overturned a 17-point halftime deficit to beat the underdog Lions 31-34. Interestingly enough, there will be 8 ex-Giants who could appear, 7 who probably will, 1 who probably won't, on either side of the sidelines or on the turf at Allegiant Stadium in just under 2 weeks' time now. For the 49ers, there is ex-Giants player Anthony Lynn, who is their current assistant head coach and running backs coach. The Giants' starting center from last year, John Feliciano, is now a starting guard at the 49ers and has obviously performed leaps and bounds above what he did for us last year. Long snapper Tabor Pepper, which is a brand new one to me, who was with the Giants in 2019, is the long snapper for the 49ers. And finally, safety Logan Ryan, who spent 2 years with the Giants a few years ago, is also on that 49ers team. If we move over to the Chiefs sideline, there's ex-Giants defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, who is Kansas's defensive coordinator, and obviously he was an interim head coach for the Giants in between a few of our coaches. I can't remember. Kev, can you remember which ones that he was in between, Spags?
Yeah, I think he came straight after McAdoo.
Oh, okay. So between McAdoo and Shermer, I think was after McAdoo. So yeah, so I think he was in the running for that job, and Shermer obviously picked into it, and off he went. Defensive back coach Dave Merritt was the secondary and safeties coach for the Giants between 2006 and 2017, and then last year's was wide receiver duo of Ricky James Jr. and Kadarius Toney. Both now are on the 49ers. However, I think only one of them might see the field at Allegiant Stadium after Tony has pissed off yet another team with his antics. Kev, this is our last episode until after the Super Bowl. Who do you want to win and why?
It's a difficult one. I mean, I'm definitely with everyone with the overhyping of the Chiefs and all the antics that are kind of going on. I mean, the old Taylor Swift Kelsey thing has kind of taken people away from Mahomes' missus and his brother as well, all their antics that was going on beforehand. I think I'd like to see, when it comes to something like this, I wanted neither team to get here. I actually wanted it to be a Lions-Ravens game, to be honest. I really, really enjoyed watching those teams this year. But it's one of those cases where I think I'm just going to have to go with the NFC team. I mean, while that's been NFC ourselves, I'd like to see the 49ers go and do it. And also, it would be kind of cool to see Mr. Irrelevant, lifting the Lombardi trophy at the end of the day. And like as well, like Kadarius Toney, I mean, he won't be in the league much longer. Another couple of years, maybe. I mean, he's just not quite right, is he?
No, there's obviously something not, a bit of a screw loose up there. I mean, maybe you could give him a pass with the Giants, who weren't exactly performing amazingly. Maybe he had a falling out with Shane and with Daves. But I get the impression that Coach Reid is someone who you could quite easily get on with, and probably looks after his players a lot more. There aren't many players who come out and say that they don't like playing under Reid. So there's obviously got to be something there. For me, I'm on the 49er train just because I prefer them as a football team. McCaffrey could be quite possibly one of the best ever trades. Just could be one of the best ever. Purdy is incredible. Brandon Ayuk, got a lot of time for him. Deebo Samuel, another great player. So just kind of while we're talking about the Super Bowl and obviously the Chiefs being in it, I've got another question for you. The antics between Justin Tucker, Kelsey, and Mahomes. What is that all about?
Oh my God! I mean, lads, I get what's going on there. The quarterback wants to throw. Travis Kelsey, offensive weapon, looking after his buddy, his boy, his QB. But ladies and gentlemen, it's Justin Tucker, the GOAT kicker. Show the GOAT some respect, please. He hasn't gone out there and kicked that many field goals and played that well for that long to be disrespected in that manner. Not happy with that at all.
It did look proper petty, didn't it?
Oh, so
real petty.
But the thing was, he kicked the ball out of the way, and then he actually threw his helmet out of the way. I mean, he could have picked it up and moved it. It would have given the same sort of it would have made the same statement. But to throw his helmet out of the way, I think that was a bit too far for me.
Welcome back into the room, host for the most, Dan. We've covered off the Super Bowl. Who's your pick?
Apologies for that. I've lost my head. It's such a dummy. So yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? My pick for the Super Bowl. And this might piss people off, but I'm picking the Chiefs.
Ooh,
I think Mahomes and that defense, man, are too good.
I think we've got a noise for that, haven't we?
All right.
Don't get me wrong. I would like to see that. I would much prefer the 49ers to win, even though I'm not a big fan of San Francisco anyway. But yeah, I think Kansas City will do it, man. There's something about them this year. The whole, like you were talking about, honestly, Taylor Swift, that whole sort of shenanigans. There's just something about the Chiefs this year, isn't there? So I think they'll do it. It'll be a close game, but I think they'll come out on top. They know what it takes to win. They've got what they've been there before. They've done it. Patrick Mahomes has been there before. He's done it. So yeah, I think they'll come out on top.
They've kind of saved their best ball for when it counts, haven't they? They've got themselves to the playoffs, and now they're playing really well.
Exactly. Nobody expects them to beat Baltimore, so yeah, that's why I picked them.
But there's some comeback by the 49ers against the real America's team at the weekend.
Yeah, massively. I mean, I was gutted. I was more gutted for the Lions than I was for the Ravens, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
It would have been nice to see them get there, but it's looking positive in Detroit with Dan Campbell at the helm. So ex-Giant Dan Campbell, not surprised really. Yeah, obviously with the whole Justin Tucker, Travis Kelsey thing, disgrace, absolute disgrace. Should never. That's what I'm going to say on the matter. But yeah, so you guys, I'm guessing, have gone for the 49ers to win then, yeah? Yeah. We both said the 49ers. So.
Hard overhead.
Nice. All right then. For podcast listeners, that's the end of this section. In other news, the last few weeks we've had multiple people weighing in on the Saquon Barkley contract situation, with a standout defensive player being one of them. Kev, who's had what to say?
Well, yeah, I mean, Tommy DeVito on the 25th of January on the side complex. DeVito called for the Giants to call the Brinks trucks and come drop off the cash at the front door. I nearly did that. I nearly tried that in American Jersey accent, all right? And I was in my head, I was going to do it. But I thought, no, don't embarrass yourself any more than you actually have to, Kev, all right? But for those who have no idea what the Brinks is, it's a cash handling company in the US. DeVito went on to say that Barkley is the best ever teammate throughout his whole football career. And that he said, I hope it's with the Giants, but if not, somebody call the band because the bank is coming because this man needs to get paid. It's such an interesting situation because I really can see Barkley going. I can see him staying. It's so weird. I mean, it's a risky move from the rookie QB to express opinions. He arguably doesn't have that kind of standing in the game. What do you think, Dan? For a rookie, undrafted.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Whether it's their opinion is right or wrong is another thing. But is it risky for Tommy Cutlets? Potentially. I get him back in his teammate, and he wanting his teammate to get paid. There is that sort of talk of it being a brotherhood. In the locker room, and they look out for each other. Obviously, especially with the fact they both play on the offense as well. So I get what Tommy's saying, but at the same time, like you said, you're an undrafted rookie. You're kind of at the bottom of the pecking order. Maybe you should stay out of little things a little bit and just let the big boys get on and deal with it.
Well, I'm going to ask you that, Craig. Do you think it's a case of undrafted rookie stay in your lane, or do you think he's well within his rights to come out and stand by his star running back?
I think it's a bold move, to dice with you. I'm not saying he's dicing with his career, but to kind of dice with your career by coming out and saying something that maybe the brass won't like. I guess that's a Jersey thing kind of thing. They don't mince their words, and I guess that he's been asked the question and he's kind of fallen into the non-PR trained trap that maybe he hasn't had as much exposure to because the Giants didn't think he was going to end up in front of as many cameras and as many microphones as he potentially has. So it's it's definitely a brave one from him.
But then, he strikes me as someone that doesn't really sort of, conform to what is normal. He seems to be sort of a law unto himself almost in terms of, nobody expected him to play the way he played in those games he came in. His agent as well is a whole another day. And so it's almost like I'm Tommy DeVito, I do what I want sort of thing. It's maybe that sort of bit cocky, bit sort of brash, like, yeah, look at me, I'm Tommy DeVito. And like he did back up some of it on the field last season. But at the same time I still maybe like I said, maybe just sort of pipe down a little bit. But someone on this in this trio has had a little bit of, I wouldn't say beef, but a little bit of a to and fro with a former player on X.
I have no idea. No idea what you're talking about.
Craig? I think that's you, right?
We'll start with the first of the two other players that have spoken out, and we'll end with my my ex beef. So the day after Tommy's interview on the Complex website, Kayvon Thibodeau joined ex-NBA star Carmelo Anthony on his 7 p.m. in Brooklyn YouTube show and echoed Tommy's comments. He did say that he wasn't upset that Daniel Jones got his $160 million contract, but he did say that he was mad that Saquon didn't get his. Kayvon did kind of caveat his point that he said he believes in Daniel Jones. Now, the whole quote was, "What I'm mad about is that Saquon, because if you look at the game tape, Saquon was responsible for 30% of our offensive plays. So for me, for the integrity of working together and the hard work, and I all believe in the same things, I feel like Saquon should have got paid first. That's what I feel." So that was a section on the hour interview that Kayvon had on Carmelo Anthony's show, where he spoke about a lot of things. I couldn't actually find the individual part of the interview to get any context either side, but I have seen the clip where he's talking about it. And on that same day, another ex-Giant put his 5 penneth worth in on X as Cole Beasley posted that, at Saquon, I need you to go to Dallas. Getting to run it up on your old team who disrespected you is rejuvenating. Lol. Not really sure I respect Beasley's opinion because of the fact that he doesn't really have more than a weak grasp on an organization that he was nothing more than a practice squad member for. And just to show how rent-free the Giants are in his head, he decided to clap back at my quote retweet where I said that an irrelevant player's making a comment about a team that he so-called hates when he wasn't on it long enough really to hate it. I think his clapback was, imagine being irrelevant, to which I responded, must be difficult. And I don't think I got a reply to that. So don't forget, in the eyes of Beasley, we are an irrelevant podcast.
Love it. I call viewers and listeners, that's what you call a bait. Absolutely love it.
He's an NFL player with over 400,000 ex-fans decided to clap back at a small podcast from England with less than 2,000 ex-followers. But hey, what are you going to do?
We'll take it.
In all seriousness, though, both players obviously believe in Barkley and want him to get paid. We're going to get into our sort of personal opinion on the Barkley situation in a couple of weeks' time when we have a look at our free agents. But Kev, we'll start with you on this one. Do you think that Barkley's kind of shackled a little bit by how the league views running backs more than it just being a Giants issue?
Oh, yeah, massively. I mean, it's just the whole thing is against running backs at the moment, like, you know, and the tag as well is a tool that can be used as, you know, against them. I mean, the problem is, I think Saquon Barkley looks at someone like Christian McCaffrey and thinks, I'm on that level. The problem is he just hasn't got this. The talent was there. The talent was there. But the production just hasn't matched the same as McCaffrey's. So it's very difficult to put yourself up against someone like that. I mean, in this day and age now, I think running backs, they're so devalued. And it's more like Christian McCaffrey's like the exception to the rule. He's the unicorn. And you kind of notice that as well. We'll get into it, like you said, in a couple of weeks' time. But the free agent market for running backs, there's so many like perceived good running backs in free agency. So we'll be interested to see what type of deal he gets somewhere else, or if he comes back to us, and you know, it could be in a lesser deal that was on the table last year. But we'll see.
Talking about Christian McCaffrey, another thing that he has done probably more than Barkley, though he has had his issues as well, is durability. Dan, do you think that that's another kind of wrinkle to this story that's likely to play out for a while yet?
I mean, it has to be, hasn't it? You know, obviously Barkley stayed fit in 2023, but he had 2 games? Was it 2 games on the sideline? So he played 15 games into. So you know, he stayed relatively healthy last season. But at the same time, I mean, like you said, Kev, CMC he's unique. You know, there's no other back like him in the league, and so for the fact that Barkley is, you know, wanting a similar sort of money to what he's wanting, maybe, I don't know, but it's not going to happen. Christian McCaffrey is unique, like I said, and the running back market is saturated with decent, good, above average running backs that are all wanting the same sort of deal. So I think, yeah, the market is a bit sort of, it's going to be a bit skewed, and he is kind of shackled by it. And durability definitely will play a part of that as well, because teams are going to look at his injury history, and are they going to want to offer him top money? Probably not. There might be a team that decides, you know what, actually, I'm going to take a punt. Let's offer him a 2-3 year deal on the money he wants, with, you know, an out after 2 maybe. and let's see what we get. And if that happens, good luck to him. I'll be gutted, but good luck to him. But at the same time, I think if he is going to stick around in at the Meadowlands at MetLife, then I think he's going to have to temper his expectations and maybe take a hit on what was offered to him mid-season last year, because I don't even think he's probably going to get that, to be fair, anymore, because the market is the value of a running back is nowhere near what it used to be, unfortunately. So I think it's going to be tough for him. Another point about the whole Barkley situation is what Joe Shane said at the Senior Bowl yesterday as well. He'd spoken to Barkley on Friday after the season ended. The conversation was good, but it won't be the last one they have. And the current plan is to circle up, in sort of quote as he quoted, with Barkley's reps at the Combine, which runs end of February to beginning of March, first sort of week of March. So it's going to rumble on for a little bit longer, sort of at least the next month or so. So there's going to be plenty of talk about it. There's going to be plenty of rumors. There's going to be plenty of contract talk amongst Giants Twitter, amongst Giants fans, amongst Giants media, and it's going to be intriguing what happens over the course of this next month. If anything does, if there are any sort of more grumblings and talks about what is happening, or if it's just going to come down to, all right, let's talk at the Combine, with his agents, with his representatives. But when before we move on, if a deal does get done, when do you guys sort of see a deal getting done, if at all?
Oh, such an interesting one, because free agency starts I don't know dates off the top of my head, 13th of March, I think. So I think he will test the market. His agents will see that legal tampering period. I think they'll see then what the market's like. And to be honest, I think a decision will be made that weekend. That Monday, Tuesday, when you're officially allowed to do it, I think it'll either be with another team or with the Giants. It'll be very quick either way.
Yeah, I think there's always these sort of premier signings, isn't there, on the first day of free agency? And I agree. I do think that if he's going to make the most of his money, and if people are going to offer the money, it's going to be early, aren't they? Because the longer he waits, the less he's going to get. So he's going to have to jump on that horse pretty damn quickly. So I would say, you're looking at, we'll probably hear something before free agency is official. Normally on that day before, when Schefter or Rappaport or Pelissero, one of them drops, so-and-so will intend to sign with X, I think we'll probably find out then.
Yeah, I think it would be, if it goes anything past the sort of end of March, I think it will start turning into a huge contract saga, and that's when it will be, you're not going to get the money you want. But the fact he is one of the biggest, best free agents in the league this offseason, so he's going to get snapped up quickly, whatever he decides to do, whether he decides to re-sign with us or whether he decides to move on to another team. It's going to happen quick. I hope he stays. We've got other holes to fill on the roster. Has he done enough to stay? Has he done enough to earn a new contract? I think so, but maybe just not on the money that he wants. Steve, I fully agree with you, Steve. We've got too many other holes to fill in the draft, other free agents want similar money and could go elsewhere. Pay the man. Depends how much you pay him, I suppose, at the end of the day, doesn't it? For podcast listeners, that's the end of that section. All right, let's move on. Senior Bowl. Kev's got a massive grin on his face.
I got to get my spreadsheet out.
Obviously we're just he's got a spreadsheet ready. Let's kick off the preview. Kev, I just want to start off this section with a question. obviously there may be some people that don't really follow college football. I am one of them. I've openly admitted before. I know sort of a few little bits here and there, but for those that don't know, what is the Senior Bowl and why is it important?
So the Senior Bowl is like the premium sort of exhibition at the end of the year. You have multiple ones. You have the Senior Bowl, the East-West Shrine Game, the Hula Bowl, the Polynesian Bowl. There's a few of them, but the Senior Bowl is considered the big one because up until 2 years ago, only seniors who graduated seniors could actually attend. So if you were a junior coming out and you're one of the best players, like Marvin Harrison Jr. now is the best player, and you were a junior, you weren't allowed to attend these. And then 2 years ago, they allowed juniors who had already graduated to attend. But this year is the first year that juniors are allowed to play in the Senior Bowl as well. So the rosters are just phenomenal. And the players we're actually getting to see, it's just sort of a higher caliber than we've ever had before. And like we said in the previous podcast, coaches from the NFL coach up the teams on both sides, allowing coaches to see these players up close. And obviously people in the stands, some podcast people that we know, like the Talking Giants, they're there this week. The Bronx, Big Blue Bronx, they're there this week. A few other so anyone can go along. People can get credentials, go along and watch them up live and personal and see strength on strength, see good cornerbacks against good wide receivers. And also it's good for some of the smaller school guys who have a perceived weaker schedules. You can see what someone from Florida Atlantic is like against someone from Alabama when they might not have played throughout the season. So it's just a great way to sort of and also all 32 teams can interview players at this as well. So it's the first chance that these teams get their hands on these players on the field and also in the meeting rooms. And obviously, you're able to build a fuller picture for players than just watching tape.
Yep. So, Steve, we'll start it off with a quick thing from Steve where he said, interesting to see how your man, Sam Hartman, gets on, Kev.
Yeah, I mean, definitely he's out there. He threw a lovely bomb, from about 75 yards for a touchdown today. It was more down to the wide receiver, I think, than him, but still. He's going to be one of those players, I won't necessarily talk about him today, but I'll definitely talk about him throughout the season. He's put up so many yards in college. He's had 6 years in college. So he's been there for a while now. He's a good player. Will he be good enough to actually be an NFL starter? We'll see. We'll definitely discuss more of him as this goes on.
So let's open up with the national team. Let's have a look at the offensive players to watch as you have selected here. Number one, quarterback, Bo Nix. I've had a look at a few draft analysts. Matt Miller said that the NFL consensus on Nix is that he's a fringe first-round player. But there are questions about his accuracy outside of the Oregon scheme. He's 6'2", 217 pounds, has more than enough arm strength and mobility to impress scouts on hand for practices. But it will be his ball placement and timing on deep routes that will have to wow them in order to make the considerable jump in draft stock. ESPN rankings, Mel Kiper doesn't have him in his top 5. Jordan Reed has him at number 5. Matt Miller 4. Field Yates 5. So what have you got to say about the quarterback that you've gone for there?
Yeah, Bo Nix. I mean, he's actually number 4 for me in my current top 5s. When we went to New York, the Saturday night was watching the Oregon State game in a country bar with a couple of mates. And I just kept looking up. They had the game. I just kept looking up. I just kept seeing him make play after play. I mean, he will be an older rookie. He's 24 when the season starts. 6'2", 218 pounds. I mean, he threw for 4,450 yards this year. The only person who threw more that's in this draft was Michael Penix. I mean, he threw for 45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, on third down, this stat I really like. On third downs, he completed 72.2%. Anything over sort of 60, 65 is good, and he's just really good on third downs. I mean, like I said, he's got an NFL arm. He's got a solid build. He's able to throw from different angles. He's best when he's into rhythm. He gets into good timing. He does his decision making has improved a lot. He's got plus mobility. He's not the most dynamic mobile, but he's definitely got enough to pick up the first down. And some of the bad things is, can be a little bit consistent. Causes balls to seal a little bit if his footwork isn't sort of like sturdy in the pocket. He did have two good wide receivers in Troy Franklin, and Tez Johnson, and they got open a lot in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is not considered the best league, so obviously that helped his sort of his stats and stuff like that. And he hasn't necessarily got proper deep ball. But all in all, actually, like more and more I sort of delve into him and sort of like read up on him. It's actually I'm liking him more and more as this draft's going on. A bit too rich, maybe at 6. If we were to trade back into the first, he's definitely someone I'll be looking at for there.
So moving on to running back, you've gone for Marshawn Lloyd. ESPN rankings, Mel Kiper has him at 5, Jordan Reed 5, Matt Miller 5, and Field Yates has him at 3. So Lloyd has got a little bit of buzz today for some of his runs. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I like Lloyd. I mean, like he's in my top 10. I haven't really finalized my top 10s for running backs just yet. But he's 5'9", a little bit on the smaller side, but 217. He'll be a bit of an older rookie as well. For a running back, he'll be 23. He's one of those players that, he played for USC, played 11 games with 6 starts. He had a bit of an injury last season. He's one of those players, he's got like a low center of gravity with his smaller stature. He's able to get good leverage, good speed, good explosiveness, really quick feet. He's got good vision, good patience. He's got a good one cut. Some of the cons for him, he's never had a full workload. He's always shared carries. So it's interesting to know if, he's going to be able to in a game, he's never had more than 20 carries in a game. So it's interesting to see if he's going to how you do with more of a workload. He has had 8 fumbles in his 289 carries. That's something to keep an eye on. And also, he hasn't he's had 6 drops on 50 targets. So we want to sort of see, especially like this week as well, in the drills and stuff, you want to see more how's he catching out of the backfield in the drills and stuff like that. So he's got, he's not the perfect back, but he's definitely got tools there to work with.
So Shane will be happy with the next one with a bit of we are with Penn State here. But tight end Theo Johnson, Mel Kiper has him at 4, Jordan Reed has him at 3, Matt Miller 4, Field Yates 5. So another person who top 5 across the board. What are your thoughts on Johnson then?
Oh, he's a big boy. He's for me, he's 6'6" and 257 pounds. I've got him here. He had what do you have? He had 341 yards, 7 touchdowns last year. One thing about him though, he was charged with 2 misdemeanors for punching someone he got into an argument with at a frat party in February last year. So he started. So we'll be interested to see how that sort of plays out. Is there any character concerns there, or was it just an innocent altercation? He played all 13 games last year. He's an elite athlete. He's going to test out really well. It's going to be interesting to see his combine results. So he's and with that athleticism and height, he's an absolute mismatch for linebackers and safety. He's got the speed to beat the safety. He's got the height and physicality to beat. He's got the speed to beat linebackers, and he's got the physicality and height to beat the safeties. After the catch, he's powerful. He's not a great blocker at the moment, so he needs his blocking needs to improve. And he wasn't really asked to run too many routes, so we'll be interested to see another coach in these drills, seeing if he can run the complete route tree.
So wide receiver Javon Baker there out of UCF isn't on any of the ESPN top 5 rankings. No surprise really at wide receiver because of how stacked that is. So what's made you go for maybe one of the more unknown wide receivers here?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a bit of a dynamic receiver. He's 6'1", 208 pounds. He ran for nearly 1,200 yards last year with 7 touchdowns. He played 13 games last year. He was first team All Big 12. So when the players get accolades like that, it's always, other college coaches and stuff like that are acknowledging if he's a good player or not. So always trying to look out for stuff like that. He's very, very strong. When he's catching the ball or where he's got the ball in his hands, he's very strong, very physical. he's very good at contested catches, like going up and getting the ball, making it my ball. Which is something we haven't got. We've got a lot of like shiftier sort of fast lads. So he's got nasty stiff arm, so stuff like that, and he isn't. So his downside then is because he's more of a bigger, stronger wide receiver. He's not really an athlete. He's not like extremely fast. He's not very shifty. He doesn't have good acceleration. His right running is good, but it could be better. He's a powerful ball carrier, but he can get tackled easily, as in like he doesn't run past people or around people. He kind of runs into contact. So we want to see a bit more him being a bit more of a difference maker.
So on to the one position that Shane doesn't want us to absolutely touch in the draft, otherwise he'll be upset. But Kingsley Sumatia, I have no idea how to say that.
Sumatia.
There we go.
At a BYU 6'4", BYU, big boy as well, like 330 pounds. He's kind of like one of those tackles. I think he can play sort of any position. He was another one who was second team All Big 12 this year. He's got big frame. He's sort of got the good measurables for the position. He plays strong. He plays wide, which is good. He is a good athlete. He's got good acceleration off the snap. He does need to use his length better. He can get caught by speedy rushers. Fast rushers around the edge do get him a bit more than the rushers like the bull rush. And sort of like he has got sort of like, he ticks a lot of the boxes. He's just a little bit raw. He just needs a bit more like work, and it could be someone who might not necessarily come in and start straight away, but he could definitely be a starting tackle down the road.
And then lastly, on the national team offense, here we've got Dominic Pooney. Matt Miller said a 6'5", 320-pound left tackle for the Jayhawks. Pooney projects inside to guard at the next level and should be in the top 3 conversation at that position. He's great in the run game, and scouts will be in love with his physicality in the trenches. It's interesting because Matt Miller is the only person who has him in his top 5 for inside lineman. He's got him at number 4. Phil Yates, Jordan Reed, Mel Kiper all don't have him in the top 5. So what's the thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he has got great size. I mean, in 2022, he actually played all 13 games at left guard. And because he was one of the better offensive linemen, see, in college as well, what you find is your best 5 linemen play. And they work out the positions leader, if that makes sense. Whoever's the best 5 linemen they play. So he played 13 games at left guard really, really well in 2022. And he was kicked out to left tackle, and he made first team All Big 12, playing at left tackle. But obviously, you're kind of playing against lesser competition, but moving into the NFL, he does project better moving back inside, where, I think he can be found out a little bit in the outside. His footwork's good. He's got good leg drive. But he played, like I said, he played tackle last year, but I do think he's better going in the side, because he will get beat by speed rushers on the outside, a bit more help on the inside, but definitely projects as a really good guard going forward.
Cool. And then if we look at the defense, the defensive players that you've chosen for the national team, defensive lineman Brandon Dorlus. Phil Yates said, I can't wait to watch Oregon defensive lineman Brandon Dorlus, who is a long, active and versatile player who bounced all over the defensive front for the Ducks. His length not only helped him collapse pockets in college, but also disrupting passing lanes. Weirdly, Phil Yates doesn't have him in his top 5, but Jordan Reed has him at number 5, whereas the others don't either. So, a versatile defensive player then on the line.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, and he's played kind of well throughout his whole career. I mean, 2021, he played all 14 games, made first team All Pac-12. 22, played all 13 games, second team All Pac-12. 2023, played 14 games, and made first team All Pac-12 as well. So you can kind of see that the caliber is there. He's done it on a consistent basis over years. He's not the most polished player, but he's got real good play strength, and he's got good motor as well. So he just keeps driving. He's sort of that type of player. I mean, if he gets double teamed, he can get outmaneuvered and out physical, outpushed a bit. His leverage kind of goes. That's what I'm trying to say. He loses his leverage when he gets double teamed. But again, he's one of those players that is kind of like he's just played well for so long, and he's got that versatility, and that's kind of something we need as well on the defense, is people who can play across the line.
So edge here, UCLA, 6'5", 265-pound edge rusher, Latu. Medically retired while at Washington due to a neck injury, and then was healthy the past 2 seasons at UCLA, racking up 23.5 sacks. Expert level pass rusher in terms of technique, has a plan for every snap. The medical evaluation at the combine will be paramount, is what Matt Miller said. Do you agree with that? That the medical side of things could be his downfall?
Oh, it's absolutely huge. I mean, like stats from last year, like you can see he's got the talent. He had 64 pressures, 15 sacks, 34 stops in the run game as well. And like you said, he had that injury. And was it Dr. Watkins, who I've got in my notes here? Dr. Watkins treated Peyton Manning, and he cleared him to play, but the Washington team doctors didn't in 21. And he served as an assistant for the Huskies in 2021, and then entered the transfer portal, went to UCLA, and he started all 12 games this past season, and he became first team All-American and won the Lombardi Trophy. So sort of like you can see it's there. He's got an incredible bend and burst around the edge. He's ideal for a 3-4 outside linebacker. Do you know what I mean? If you were to stick him on the other side to Kayvon Thibodeau, I mean, you've got an absolute demon pairing there. But it's one of those things where, the combine and the neck injury is 100%. It'll come down to what the doctors, because some people will just take him off the board.
Yeah.
And some people will have him as a number 1 edge rusher in this class. So it will be so interesting to hear the storylines coming out of the combine.
Dan's going to ask the same question that I think I was going to ask.
I think they need to rename that trophy.
Yeah. The Lombardi.
Lombardi, yeah, defensive, yeah.
So funny enough, you were saying that some people will have him at number 1. So Mel Kiper, Jordan Reed, Matt Miller, and Phil Yates will have him as number 2 in their edge rushing rankings. Linebacker Marist Liafu and cornerback Cam Hart, both close to your heart, actually, with Notre Dame. Yeah, so I'm going to let you do both of these back to back because neither of them are in any of the top 5. So you've got the floor.
I might have gone for a little bit of a homer pick here, but Maris Liafau is just one of those players. He's like, he got 5 sacks last year, and 26 pressures. He's powerful. He's fast. He's twitchy. He plays with good snap anticipation. So when the snap goes, he goes. There's no like missteps or anything like that. He's a good blitzer. When you send him, when he's like his hair on fire, he just runs and runs and runs, and he's got really good change of direction. The problem is his over-aggressive style can lead to sort of a couple of missed tackles or just completely blown and assignments. He might go after the running back and completely go down the wrong gap. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes, and his coverage work is a little bit touch and go as well. So you got to like watch him that. But as a blitzing linebacker, he's one of the best in this class, to be honest. And then we've got Cam Hart, right? Yeah. Cam Hart is getting slept on like you would not believe. I mean, like he's actually came to Notre Dame as a wide receiver and then went over to the other side of the ball. He's got great size and length. He's 6'3", 205 pounds. He's a plus athlete. He's going to run really, really well, especially coming from his wide receiver background. But also, so he's able to like read route combinations and understand them and play on them. He might be more of a zone coverage. He could excel in zone coverage. But when it comes to man on man, he has trouble turning his hips quickly and then going with the player. So you might want to take him in more of a man coverage, more of a zone coverage type of defense. But I mean, like he's one of those like he had injuries in college.
Has Kev gone bye?
Yeah, he's back in the room. I think he's back in the flicker there. Can't hear him though, so
you're right there, Kev. It's an evening of
technical difficulties. Yeah,
of technical difficulties and errors and mistakes. So
while Kev's getting him. while Kev's getting himself back in, is it just me, or does Cam Hart give off massive Eddie Murphy vibes?
Oh, 100%. As soon as that image came on screen, I was like, "This looks like Eddie Murphy's son."
Right, let's see if Kev's back.
We've got visual. We haven't got audio.
No. Wait a few seconds. Maybe see if Kev needs to leave and come back in. So apologies, everyone, for that.
Quite possibly. So what have you learned?
1 2.
There we go. We're back. We're back in the room. Back in the room. We were on. We were Cam Hart, Eddie Murphy's son. Carry on.
Guaranteed. It was a massive scandal in the Notre Dame campus when they found out he was Eddie Murphy's son. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, he's good all round, fast, tall, sort of ticks so many boxes. But the medical comeback at the combine will be massive for him. And I think, like, even yesterday he's been like locking down Walker, the wide receiver out of UNC, North Carolina, that people will have quite high up on their list. So I'm excited for him, and I think like he'll be top 10 cornerback for me, and I think he will start to climb boards now as this process goes on.
And then finally on the national team, safety Cole Bishop. Mel Kiper has him at 5. Everybody else has him unranked in the top 5 there. From Utah, I want to say.
Yeah, so he's an interesting one because he's 6'1", 210 pounds. Catch rate on him this year was 53.8, which is very good. Some people see him as a downhill safety. He actually took more snaps. He took 247 snaps deep, 180 snaps in the box, and 97 snaps in the slot. So you can see the versatility there. He played 11 games this past season. He was second team All Pac-12. He's smooth runner. He's short area quickness is very good. He can mirror people. I just think like I said, physical downhill defender. I'd like to see him play a little bit of both, but I think he will be more of a box player. Again, sort of like his violent tackling style leads to missed tackles again. There's a lot of these players that are really, really good in a lot of aspects, but then when it comes to like the eagerness and the aggressiveness, you do see them sort of miss more tackles, and because we've had players like that in the past as well. He's not great in man coverage, but he is good in zone coverage. So I think he's one of those players that you could get in the 3rd, 4th round, and he could end up being a really solid starter for you.
Nice. National team. Get on it. Some exciting sounding players in that team, I must admit. I'm intrigued by Latu because he sounds like a beast. Just all depends on his whether his health's a problem or not. But yeah, he sounds like a very, very intriguing player, and I think he sounds like he's got a lot of potential. So yeah, thanks for that, Kev. National team in the books. That's the end of that section for all podcast listeners. We are moving on to the American team.
Oh
yeah. Starting off with are we starting off with defense or starting at offense? So we go quarterback Michael Pratt out of Tulane. So Nick Baumgartner from the Athletic said he's a 3-year starter at Tulane. He had another year of eligibility and would have been one of the hottest transfer portal names. However, 6'3", 220-pounder is off to the league and might surprise people with how highly he's selected. He's a big arm thrower, loves to push the ball vertically. He missed 2 games this year with a knee injury and still has things to work on. Accuracy, pocket presence, and responding to pressure being 3 of those things. But his natural arm talent has had him on pro radars for a while. More than 22% of his completions this year went for 20 yards or more, and he finished the last 2 years with 64 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Kev, Michael Pratt.
Yeah, he's one of those players that's been on the radar for a little bit, and he was when I was looking for Notre Dame at potential quarterbacks from the transfer portal. He was one of the favorites, one of the ones that people sort of wanted to get. This past year, he threw 2,500 yards for 22 touchdowns. He has got good arm strength. He's good in the pocket. He's got quick release. He processes the field well. He shows good feel in the pocket. The thing is the consistency. The consistency on the arm strength isn't. He could, in some throws, he can bomb it, and you see, look at it, it glides lovely. And then some other throws, it's like it feels like looks like a struggle, a real struggle to get the ball down there. His ball placement can be a little bit, could be better on the sideline throws, not so much over the middle, but more towards the sideline throws. He is a good athlete. It's one of those weird things, like all quarterbacks now are good athletes, aren't they? Everybody feels like every time you're looking at evaluating quarterbacks, it's like, oh, good runner, can get first down with his legs. But it just feels like, there's no more Joe Flacco's anymore. All these kind of quarterbacks are able to be able to do that. So, but again, he's one of those ones that, he probably will end up being a career backup in the league.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, a career backup.
Well, not anymore. I know there's some serious money. That's Tyrod Taylor.
Exactly. Moving on, running back Ray Davis out of Kentucky. What does he bring to the table?
Well, he's like a bowling boy. He's 5'8", 220 pounds. He's a little bit older. He's 24 when the NFL starts. But I think with running backs as well, like I've kind of gone off he's 24. He's a bit older when it comes to running backs, because we know with running backs you can kind of draft them now and then release them after the 4 years. You kind of running backs don't get signed to big deals anymore. One thing I like about him, he went for 1,100 yards. He also had 324 yards receiving, 21 touchdowns. But one thing I did like about it, he had a 70.8 block rate, which is really good, as in like pass protection. So because obviously if you're coming into league now, pass protection is massive. So it's good to see that, he gets positive gains. He's got good vision, good balance. He's one of those people that just kind of fall forward and get yards. You know what I mean? He kind of like picks up those hard yards. But the thing is, he's not an athlete. He's not like he doesn't have good stop-start. He's not very twitchy. He's not very fast. So he hasn't got all those type of things. But if you need 2 or 3 yards to keep the chains moving and be decent in pass protection, he kind of gives you those qualities.
So he's no Saquon Barkley then. Nice one. Ben Sinnott, tight end out of Kansas State. ESPN rankings, they ranked him as a fullback, so I'm guessing he's a versatile sort of dual position player. Mel Kiper and Jordan Reed both have him as the number 2 fullback, and Matt Miller is number 1. So what does Ben Sinnott bring to the table? Well,
exactly that, like versatility. He's able to play that H-back, fullback, tight end, inline. One thing's about what's good with some players that play multi-sport. So like he played wide receiver, tight end, defensive end in high school, but he also played baseball, golf, tennis, ran track, and played hockey as well. He started all 12 games last year. He made 3rd team All-American. He brings good enough athleticism, and he moves well enough for the position. And he's a bit of a dog. He's got great determination. Kind of like wants to run people over when he's got the ball in his hand. What do you have? Like 548 snaps attached at the line, 164 in the slot, 97 in the backfield. He even had 7 snaps out wide. So like he kind of, like you said, he kind of does it all. There's a lot to him. He's a good blocker. Blocker could get a little bit better. But then he's unlike the Penn State tight end. He's not a freak athletically. Do you know what I mean? He kind of like it's almost like without comparing him too much, like a bit like Daniel Bellinger. You kind of know what you're going to get with him. Kind of does a little bit of everything, solid but not flashy.
So a bit of sort of like a jack of all trades, can do sort of a bit of everything, but isn't necessarily the greatest or best.
That's it. I mean, he'd be like an awesome tight end too. Nice.
Cool. All right. Next up, receiver Xavier Legette, if I'm saying his name right.
Yes.
Now, Jordan Vanek from the 33rd team had a little bit to say about him. He shares a physique reminiscent of prominent wide receivers like A.J. Brown or Deebo Samuel, weighing in with 219 pounds. So slight, but well-built as well. Watch closely. What he will closely watch for is how effectively he leverages his size in each play, particularly at the stem of his routes, and demonstrating his ability to outmaneuver defenders horizontally. So he sounds like an intriguing prospect.
Yeah, he does. Like I'm very much higher on him than of a lot of other people. Like, not to give it away too much, but he's number 5 wide receiver for me. I'm very high on him. I mean, he's one of those players. He had 1,200 yards last year, 7 touchdowns. But what I really liked was he had a 2.7 drop rate. I mean, that's awesome, man. I mean, he just to give you some example. I mean, different situation. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. had 8.2 drop rate. Neighbors had 5.3. Do you know what I mean? So for him to have such a low drop rate, you know the ball kind of sticks when it gets to him. Again, he's another one who played lots of sports. He played quarterback in high school. He played basketball, baseball. He played all 13 games last year. Was second all SEC team. He does make big plays. A big physical wide receiver. He goes and gets the ball. Really good at the catch point. He's got great hands. He's a better route runner than you think. He actually can run really good routes, get himself open. But he wouldn't be sort of twitchy. He wouldn't be your Wandale Robinson type of player. But and sort of that'd be the kind of knock on him, and after he catches the ball, he doesn't really do much with it. It's kind of like, okay, he's caught the ball, it gets into contact, and that's where the down finishes. He wouldn't be able to shake off defenders and be able to run away from them. But he's definitely a player that I like a lot, and I think would fit into this offense fantastically.
I was going to say, would 6 be too rich for
him? 6 would. If somehow he sneaked to the end of the first, I'd go and get him at the end of the first. But I think people will start to catch on, and I think he'll start moving up draft boards.
Interesting. Nice. All right. Shane's favorite position. Tackle. He's never going to live it down, is he?
Love it.
Tyler Guyton of Oklahoma. Now, Matt Miller said in preparation for the Senior Bowl, he sent a text to 8 NFL scouts over the weekend asking for their top-ranked prospects, and every single one of them responded with the same name, Tyler Guyton. 14-game starter at right tackle, a position of need, I must add. Measures in at 6'7", 328 pounds, wowing at the weigh-in with his 34.25-inch arms. Mel Kiper, Jordan Reed both have him as their number 5. Matt Miller and Phil Yates at number 3. So a big guy, big talent.
Yeah, he is. Like, he's a bit of a monster, like a little bit unrefined, but like, so what? 355 pass blocking snaps last year, 0 sacks. Like, come on,
That's what you need from a right tackle.
Take that all day long, and he only gave up 5 penalties for the whole year as well. He is a big boy, but he actually moves quite well for his size. He actually is able to mirror pass rushers and keep them at bay. His foot quickness is very good. He doesn't get beat around for someone so big. His feet are good, so he's able to get round the edge and sort of like keep them off. One thing I will say about him, he's not a power player. He's not someone who goes and actually like buries defensive ends. So sort of like, I'd like to see a bit more nastiness and a bit more, dogged to his game. Tackle, I think he'll play in this league for a long time.
I mean, we've all been there and seen it with drafting offensive tackles quite high in the draft, and we're all very high on Mr. Neal when he came in, and it's just not worked out for him so far. But yeah, he sounds like an absolute unit. I'm not going to lie. All right, moving on to interior with those Yukon Huskies. We've got Christian Haynes.
No, I like this geezer. No, he is definitely like a physical offensive lineman. In 2022, he started all 13 games, first team All Independent. 2023, started all 12 games, first team All Independent. Was a pass blocking snaps last year, 437. He only gave up 7 pressures and 1 sack. I just think he's just, he's a good smooth mover in the box, in the phone booth type thing. He's got quick feet. He's good with his punch. He gets out of his stance really, really quickly. He's only 6'2". Height is a little bit of a worry, but I think it won't bother him going forward. The only problem is if the play starts to develop for too long, he struggles to hold the block. If it's happening for too long, and I think he just needs to just needs reps at the NFL level. I think he just needs to get in there and just like start to play against big grown men. That's why this week will be really, really interesting to see him, because he did play for UConn, who's an independent and not in a big conference.
Nice. All right, then let's move to the defensive side of things then. And first up, we got Braden Fisk out of your Florida State Seminoles, producer Craig. There he goes. He's got his hat on.
I nearly went. Yeah, I could have had a few in here, to be fair, because as we all know, Florida State had such a good season this past year. He started all 13 games last year, and he was named third team All-American. Was he 6'3", 295 pounds? He's a bit older. He'll be 24 when the league starts to play. I think he's more of that 3-tech penetrator. So he's more of a player that will go alongside a nose tackle like Sexy Dexy. So, look out for him. I mean, he had 28 pressures last year with 6 sacks. Now, from the interior, that's really, really good, man. And 25 stops in the run game as well. Like I said, he was named third team All-American. He played all along the defensive line. I think, what was it here? He played like 50, even played 56 snaps as an edge rusher, 380 in the middle. I think he'd be really good at that 3-tech position. Like I said, he's got thick legs. He's got a lot of hustle. It's a lot of like just go, just carry on going. Really high motor type of player. He plays violently. He just finds himself beating people and getting, off blocks and sort of in the mix. He's sort of like thereabouts. Again, coming to the cons, he lacks that ideal length. He's not as long as some people would want. Sometimes he plays a little bit out of control. He's a little bit crazy, but that's coming with the relentlessness that he has. But again, I just think could be a great sort of foil next to Sexy Dexy at the next level.
Kind of, I mean, I know it's a different position, but he kind of sounds a little bit like Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, but like on the inside, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Missouri edge rusher, Darius Robinson. Phil Yates of ESPN said that he'd circled 3 guys that he's especially excited to see up close, and one of them is Darius Robinson. He could prove that he needs to be ranked much higher than most have him, as he's a disruptive pass rusher with a massive frame, and he had 8.5 sacks this season. Mel Kiper and Phil Yates both have him as number 8 edge rusher, whereas Jordan Reed and Matt Miller at number 7. What have you got on him, mate?
Yeah, he's like 6'5", 286 pounds. He's one of those players, I think he's versatile. He plays up and down the line. I kind of think, how do I say this? It'd be like a better Hattie. Like I think like he's sort of like that bigger edge. I mean, like, so you'd have like the sort of outside speed rusher on one side, and then you'd have him sort of on the other side, but also being able to play inside when you're going to your bigger formation. Even though he's tall, he still gets good leverage. He's got long arms. He gets into the offensive lineman's chest. He plays with good hand placement. And he plays with a really, really good motor as well. Like I said, he's one of those players, I think, like I said, just a better Hattie. And again, the problems Hattie has as well, he kind of has. So when he gets his hands on the offensive lineman and they get their hands on him, he finds it hard to get them to get off them as well. And he's not fast or twitchy or sort of, like I said, your bendy edge rusher. So you got to bear that in mind.
Nice. And Jordan Reed's come out today and said that there's been some first round chatter about Darius Robinson as well. So he's obviously moving up on people's boards.
Nice.
Another homer pick, Kev.
100%. I'm not even ashamed of it.
Go on then.
So we have JD Bertrand, right? Linebacker, Notre Dame. Do you know his dad and uncle actually played rugby at a high level in high school in Blackrock College in Dublin when they were living there as teenagers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in 2022, he played all 12 games. He was Notre Dame's Defensive Player of the Year. This past year, he played all 13 games, team captain, first team academic All-American. He's one of those players, so he's the opposite to Leofau. Leofau's your fast, sort of
aggressive sort of.
Yeah, aggressive, trying to line breakers.
See ball, get ball linebacker.
Yeah, blitzing linebacker. Whereas like Bertrand, he's the clever one. He's the one who stays. He read and reacts. He watches. He knows. He sort of he does his study.
So he's more like your sort of quarterback, sort of like spy, sort of like stand and watch the quarterback.
100% that. He'll sit back, watch quarterback. He just knows where to be in the right spots at the right time. You know, he makes loads of tackles because of that. And he's very, very good in coverage. But the problem is so he'd be like your typical middle linebacker with a green dot. Get everyone else into position and do everything you need to do. And also, he's the type of player that, like, if you're a backup linebacker on a team and that team drafts JD Bertrand, you're out of a job. Like, if he's not going to be a starter, I think he will be a starter, but he will at least play special teams and be the smartest one in that linebacker room, learning, and being able to translate things onto the pitch. But then his limitations are he's not that athlete. He won't test well. He won't run a good 40. You know, he kind of like his game relies on his preparation before the game as opposed to instincts on the field.
Nice. I mean, as a linebacker, you need that engine, don't you? Really, so you got to kind of keep going, because you know we've seen Bobby O play every single snap this season, so he's obviously got a decent engine. So, no, he sounds like a decent defender, to be fair. All right, Darius Robinson's teammate, Chris Abrams-Drain, cornerback, Missouri. What have you got on him?
Yeah, I've gone for a slot cornerback. I'll have to watch out for this one. He's 5'11", 173 pounds. Let's get 100%. Because let's face it, we haven't had much luck with the slot cornerback position recently. I mean, he only allowed 48.1% catch rate this past year. He's had 11 pass breakups, 4 interceptions. He's very, very quick. You know, he's a good mover. He's able to get around the field really, really well. He reads and reacts well. You know, he's a good tackler as well. But the downside is, you know, is his height, you know, his stature, his lack of size. That will hurt him, especially in red zone plays. If you're going to start sticking, like, you know, bigger receivers in the slot and stuff like that, you get out muscled by us. If you've got like 3 6-foot+ wide receivers in the red zone and a tight end the size of Travis Kelce, like, you know, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to be able to match up with those type of players.
Nice one. And then lastly, on to Cameron Kinchins, the U.
The U. Some people have him as the number 1 safety in this class. And I think he's very, very good. He played 12 games last year. In 22, played 12 games, was first team All-American. In 2023, he started 10, but he missed 2 after suffering a neck injury. But he still made first team All-ACC, sorry. You know, he's a good athlete. He's got good movement. He's a legit nose for the football. 11 interceptions in the last 2 years from the safety position. It's very, very good. He reads the quarterbacks and shows good anticipation. He locates the ball well at the catch point. You know, he can come downhill and tackle well. Again, coming back to like the over aggressiveness, though, you know, it has a 19.7 missed tackle rate in 22, which is concerning. But then he did bring that down this past year to 13.7. You know, sometimes he gets beaten coverage as well because of that aggressiveness. And although he is good athlete, he's not sort of elite athlete. Again, he might not test very well. But, you know, he could be a ball hawk in coverage. He might be more of a too high coverage, a too safety, too high safety in the league. And it might be very much risk and reward. The aggressiveness could give up plays, but also he's going to make plays for you at the back end.
Alrighty, Kev, American team in the books.
I just quickly, just after like reading up about some people yesterday, I didn't get to see any, but some people who did stand out to other guys I've watched and written about. On the national team, Ricky Purcell, wide receiver of Florida, played well. Roman Wilson, wide receiver of Michigan, played well. Jackson Powers-Johnson, center from Oregon, is the best center in the league in this draft by far. He met the Giants already, and the Giants asked him, "Can you play guard? Would you play guard in the league?" To which obviously he said yes. Quinton Mitchell, cornerback Toledo's balling out. Rasheen Ali, the running back from Marshall. And on the Americans team, just quickly, Christian Jones, offensive tackle from Texas, looked good. Javon Foster from Missouri looked good. And Ladd McConkey, the wide receiver out of Georgia. Yes, Georgia have wide receivers. This geezer, he's just been uncoverable. Every rep that people have had, he's had. Lads just cannot stay with him.
Did you say Powers Johnson, was it?
Jackson Powers-Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, so apparently he came out of reps today. I'm not sure if he's injured. which is a shame because I've obviously been keeping an eye on X, and there's been a lot of chatter around there. I've got a weird question for you now, Kev.
All right.
The pictures that we've used for the people.
Yes.
Some of them are in jerseys, some of them are in suits, and some of them are just in like team colours. What do you prefer? What are we talking like? We like the suit picture. Like,
we love the suit picture.
Is there a reason that some of them? So, for example, if we go back to the American offense, like, is there a reason that some of them are in suits? Are they more like? Is it down to like walk-on status? So, like Michael Pratt, is he in a jersey because he wasn't unveiled as like a top college transfer, or is it just personal preference? Do you think?
No, I think it's just the majority you'll find, because they're school photos, they will use their class photo to go onto the websites, and it's just team preference or like the university preference of what they put on their website. But you'll see the majority of them will have them in a nice sort of like blazer, tie, and suit. And I think it's quite smart, to be honest.
I mean, Ray Davis looks like he's got a pension.
I mean, he looks like a bit of an insurance salesman or something, doesn't he?
That's great. That's his LinkedIn photo. That is.
Yeah, probably. But now the suited and booted looks good. I think I prefer that over the team colours. I think. But yeah,
a
cool.
lot of players to look out for.
Say again?
A lot of players to look out for. It will be interesting.
Yeah, there's some names I've noted down, so I'll be intrigued to see a little bit more about them.
So when is the Senior Bowl, Kev?
Yeah, so it'll be on 6 p.m. UK and Ireland time on Saturday, this Saturday the 2nd. And it's on NFL Network. Yeah, it's on the NFL Network.
Cool. So those Game Pass subscribers, you can get it on there. Those that have another way of getting it, you can also get it on there.
I love how that diplomatic way there.
Yeah. But all right, there you have it. Kev's players to watch out for in this weekend's Senior Bowl. And you never know. We may have some correspondence reporting from Alabama this time next year.
Don't tease me with a good time.
It was like bucket list.
Yeah.
Why not? Alrighty. Unfortunately, thanks for that, Kev, though, as I learned a lot, and I've now got some names to look out for, so I appreciate it. And I'm sure the viewers and listeners do as well. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for this week. With next week being Super Bowl week, and there not really being much of a Giants interest in the game, we've decided to recharge our batteries and have a well-deserved week off after what has been an action-packed but disappointing season. Never fear, though, we'll be back 2 weeks from today, Valentine's Day, in fact, refreshed, repainted, and ready to look at the pending free agents. Keep your eyes peeled on our socials over the coming fortnight, as there may be a little teaser dropping at some point over the next week or so, maybe. Anything else to add before we go, guys?
No, just I really enjoyed that. Sorry if I waffled on a bit. Just want to try and give each player a little bit of props.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. I'm learning as much as the viewers and listeners are, so it's all good.
I suppose it's nice, Kev, to finally get that draft stuff going. Like the draft, it's all been bottled up, and all of a sudden it's just time.
It's like the last couple of weeks just been nice to like take last year's spreadsheet, copy and paste it, and then start deleting names out and putting names in, watching some film, moving them up and down. Oh yeah, it's bliss.
Steve asked
all we needed this evening.
X scraps over the next fortnight. So put your names forward, Steve. We'll
so who you going for? Who are you hunting? Who are you going to hunt down?
Could be a return of Beasley, couldn't it?
Beasley, true.
It would be funny
I kind of feel like
random cowboy or eagle player like that, and just go for them.
Why
Jason Witten.
Yes, Jason Witten, love it. Get on it. I kind of feel like Shane missed out this evening because he would have. I know he would love this, but we'll have plenty more draft chat over the next 2 months in the lead up to the draft. So yeah, we got a lot more to look forward to. To get the latest updates and notifications on when we go live, make sure you subscribe if you don't already. Hit the bell to get the latest updates as well. And if you like this or any of our videos, give us a thumbs up. Give it a nice little share as well if you want to on your social media platform of choice. And feel free to give us a rating as well on the podcast platform that you listen to this to, or even on YouTube if you want to. We appreciate all the love that we get. My thanks as ever go to Kev and to producer Craig for joining me. Even though we've had some fuck ups this evening, it's been a good one. And to you, the viewers and listeners, for tuning in. See you in 2 weeks. We're signing off. Until next time, let's go Giants.